All right, welcome to the Books, Beards, Booze podcast, where we drink booze, have beards, and talk books. This is our weekly short read tall glass episode where we chat about the latest book news, as well as doing a deep dive on our short story of the week, which this week is The Truth is a Cave in the Black Mountains by Neil Gaiman. If you missed it, you should go read it. There's a link provided on our blog, along with a drink recipe that we've paired with it. This week, I chose the Rob Roy, which, if you don't know, Rob Roy was a rebel, outlaw, highwayman type character from the Highlands of Scotland, and roughly this time period that the story takes place. To make one, you take some blended scotch. Don't use real scotch or straight scotch. You get some blended. Don't use your good scotch for this. And then you mix it with vermouth and just a dash of Angostura bitters, and you garnish it with a maraschino cherry. It's actually 2 ounces whiskey, Scotch whiskey to 1 ounce vermouth. And yeah, I've never had one, and this is like the third recipe I think that I've done that's called for Angostura bitters, and I feel like I think that's like number one on my list of mixing ingredients I need to acquire at this point.
And I'm Derek.
Oh.
Anyways.
Yeah. Because I can't read my sheet. I'm Bob, TalesbyBob.
And I'm Derek. Just Derek today.
Just Derek today.
Those bitters you were talking about, I'm pretty sure you use them in old fashions. And I had an old fashioned last week.
Pretty good, yeah.
At Chris's house, he actually
made some.
Used, and simple serves. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
And he had one of those. He had those molds where you had those huge ice balls that you put in there.
Oh yeah.
That was super sweet.
Nice.
Dude, he gave me like a lot of whiskey. So
he tends to have a lot on hand.
Well,
but he has also learned the majesty that is Heaven Hill. So he's aces in my book.
Are we drinking Old Forester or something like that?
That's good. That's good. But yeah, I am, today, I am drinking a James Page Brewery. They make my favorite craft beer. It's called their Halani. It's a pineapple Hefeweizen. And I had some left over from the weekend, and that's what I'm drinking right now.
I have a Cola Icy because I just woke up and I'm grove.
Hey, you do you, boo. You do you. So, as usual, we like to start out with some news from the literary world. Derek, what you got?
I have some news about a book that came out, not sure exactly when, but fairly recently, called The Earth is Only a Little Dust Under Our Feet. It is a photography book, so not the normal kind of thing I would bring up.
Yeah.
However, the reason I bring it up is because I found an article on it on the New York Times that is Water Sprites, Fairies, and Elves. Oh my. Bego Anton has spent 5 years traveling to Iceland to explore the world of mythical, folkloric creatures and people for whom they are real.
Huh.
So basically it's
Well, I know that, like, in Iceland they have, like, caves that they say that, like it's just... It's known, like, well, that's a cave that, like, fairies live in. Like, leave that cave alone.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, so the photographer, it's a picture book of the people that believe, like, and went around, this is where elves live.
So is this something that we could recommend to our friend Dusty?
Yeah, because he can't read.
Right. So, okay, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I'll make sure he gets word of this.
Yeah, but, kind of traveled the story, the photographer went back and forth to Iceland for like 5 years, taking pictures and stuff, and
nice.
Went to elf school, or had a class at this reputed elf school. Met with like a witch that used to play with fairies in the yard. A lot of interesting stuff. The article was cool, and the book sounded interesting. It's got a couple of pictures of it, which nobody else is going to be able to see. I'm going to show you real quick.
They're pretty pictures.
Yeah.
Ooh,
nice photographer.
Yeah.
And, some interesting stuff.
Huh.
Well, yeah, that's my news.
I have 2 kind of snippets of news. I initially only had one that was really relevant, but then something came up. First, the kind of relevant news is Dark Horse has announced that they're going to be putting out a graphic novel adaptation of Neil Gaiman's short story, A Study in Emerald. If you're not familiar with it, there was a short story collection called Shadows Over Baker Street that mixed Sherlock Holmes and the Cthulhu mythos. And Neil Gaiman wrote a story for it that's based on A Study in Scarlet. It's won the Hugo for short story, and it's real good. I think it's free to read online, so we might do that. That might be a good one to say for Halloween time, but we'll look into that. I'm going to see if we can track down a free to read version of that. Because what I've been told is like the online version, they made it look like a period appropriate newspaper. But yeah, so the graphic novel, the guy who's doing the art for it is Raphael Albuquerque, who did American Vampire.
Yeah, he's fantastic, I was going to say.
So yeah, that's really cool, and I think it comes out at the end of this month. If not, it's not. If it's not the end of this month, it's in July. It's a month beginning with J. Anyway, so that was kind of my relevant news. But more importantly,
Did you say a month ending in J?
Beginning in J.
I thought you said.
I may have, but I meant beginning in J. More importantly, I don't know if y'all are familiar with Brian Keene. He's a horror novelist. I've read several of his books. The Conqueror Worms is good, and then I can't remember the name of them, but he wrote 2 books about zombies, and I don't normally go for zombie stuff, but he had the most original take on zombies I've ever read, and it was amazing. He's really good, and by all accounts, he's apparently just a super nice guy, like just great dude. For example, every year they do a telethon called Scares That Care, him and some of his friends. And like last year it raised over $20,000 to help like childhood illness, burns, and breast cancer. Well, he got badly burned in a fire this week. He's got 1st-degree burns on his face and 2nd and 3rd-degree burns on his arms. Last I saw on Twitter, he's still like doped up on morphine. Like it's rough. Well, there's a GoFundMe set up for his medical expenses because he's a freelance writer. He doesn't have health insurance because most freelance writers don't have health insurance because that shit's expensive. So anyway, I'm going to try really hard to remember to put the link to that in the blog post where we share this. But yeah, if you got a few spare bucks, you should definitely throw it his way because he could use it, and he's a deserving guy. So also, Derek, what's the news with Doors of Stone?
None.
It ain't none?
There are none.
There'll
never be any, and I will die without ever having read it.
Okay. All right. Well, Derek, traveling? Why not stay in Baskerville Hall? Pets welcome. That was this week's sponsor. So let's dive right into our short read Tall Glass. As I said last time, instead of doing like a deep dive on the history of the author, I'm going to kind of focus in on one aspect of it. So, as I said, this week's story is Neil Gaiman. If you don't know, he wrote American Gods, Anansi Boys, Neverwhere, Stardust, Coraline, Sandman. He created characters for Spawn. He's done a bunch of other comic writing for like superhero type comics. Yada yada yada. He's done a ton. A bunch of his stuff's been adapted into movies. He's great. He's also married to Amanda Palmer, who is also great. You should check her out if you have not. Yeah, it's good stuff. Anyway, I wanted to kind of focus on this may be a somewhat controversial viewpoint, but I think his comic book work is far better than his novels.
I agree.
And I think a lot of people would maybe, but then other people are going to tell me I'm stupid. But you see, like I liked Neverwhere, I liked Stardust, American Gods I didn't really like. To me, every one of his ideas, the best thing that I've read of his novel-wise was probably Stardust, in my opinion. But, like, everything he's done, I've always felt like it was a better idea than execution.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a solid writer. He also did Good Omens with Terry Pratchett. But I've always felt like everything was great idea, not the optimal execution. I say that, but his comics are great ideas executed great. And I think it's because, and this is my call to you to follow your passion, he was asked why he likes comics more than other forms of storytelling. And this is what he had to say. One of the joys of comics has always been the knowledge that it was, in many ways, untouched ground. It was virgin territory. When I was working on Sandman, I felt a lot of the time that I was actually picking up a machete and heading out into the jungle. I got to write in places and do things that nobody had ever done before. When I'm writing novels, I'm painfully aware that I'm working in a medium that people have been writing absolutely jaw-droppingly brilliant things for, 3,000 to 4,000 years now. You can go back. We have things like The Golden Ass. And you go, well, I don't know, that I'm as good as that, and that's over 2,500 years old. But with comics, I felt like I can do stuff nobody has ever done. I can do stuff nobody has ever thought of. And I could, and it was enormously fun. And, yeah, like, he was doing Sandman at the same time he did Good Omens. And Good Omens is my least favorite thing that he ever did. By far.
Really?
Yeah. Great idea. But I was reading on that. It seemed, by all accounts, he was so busy on Sandman that Terry Pratchett did the bulk of that. And I like Terry Pratchett. I think that book suffers from having two writers. Mm-hmm. If either one of them had written that book, it'd have been better. Yeah. But they both tried to write it. So yeah, Derek, what kind of fact did you bring about this story?
As we are wont to do, and by we I mean me, this is very tangential to the actual story. The fact is, since I guess the main character was a small person?
Yes. He was a dwarf of fairy heritage.
Yeah. Did that... we'll get into that. Since he was a short person, I was like, I wonder who the shortest person alive is.
Okay.
So I looked up who the shortest person alive is.
Is it the Indian woman?
Yeah, and her name, something like, and I could be getting this wrong.
What? We don't ever mispronounce anything on this show, Derek.
Jyoti Amgi, and and she's 2'6". That is so short. And then since I was already looking up her, I was like, I wonder who the tallest person in the world is. The tallest person in the world is a person named Sultan Kosin, and he's
Turkish.
And he's 8'1".
Huh.
Only reason I just went and saw like a picture of them, and she's not up to his knee.
Yeah.
So
wow,
I thought that was pretty interesting.
You could almost
they're at the pyramid.
If you put her on my shoulder, we would probably be about the same height as the world's tallest man.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's really cool. So my story fact is for those, if you're not super familiar with Scottish history, which I went super hard in the paint into that as a teenager, the main character is a Jacobite. When they talk about the king over the water, they're talking about the Stuart kings in exile who were in France. And basically what happened was the Stuart kings were Catholic, and the bulk of England wasn't. And some Protestants made some moves and deposed them and married a daughter to a Protestant, and that Mary, and that's okay. Well, the French took in these deposed kings, and
was it because fuck England?
Mostly, yeah. They could use that to get to England.
Yeah.
That was the thrust of it. Every time, like
Back then, that was always the
Yeah.
safest bet. You're like, oh, do you want to
Yeah.
fuck with England? France will do it.
Oh yeah, but anyway, so I was just looking at that, and whenever I see like talk about that, I always wonder like, is there still an heir to this family alive? And I looked, and yes, all right. So if right now, I forget what this is called. It's called like the Letters of Entitlement or something like that. That is like the law that got passed that deposed the Stuart kings and put this other group on the throne. If that got repealed right now, the current queen and all her brood would not be the royalty anymore. They would not be the rulers. Who it would be is Franz, Bonaventura, Adalbert, Maria, Herzog von Bern, who was born 14th of July, 1933. He's the head of the House of Wittelsbach, which were the former ruling family of the Kingdom of Bavaria. His great-grandfather was King Ludwig III, who was the last ruling monarch of Bavaria until he was deposed in 1918. And he, just chilling. He lives in a palace in Bavaria, just doing his thing.
Doing his palace thing.
Yeah. Weirdly, though, so here's the weird part about it. The Wittelsbach, it can only, like the inheritance can only pass to a female if literally all dudes are dead. All of them. But the Stuart line, it's not like that. It can, if there's no brothers, then the sister gets it. But like in the Wittelsbach, it's like it'll go to his uncles, cousins, nephews before it would ever go to his daughter. Well, so he's got a daughter, but no son. So weirdly, the head of the Wittelsbach will go to his brother or cousin, but the head of the Stuart will go to his daughter. Isn't royalty fascinating?
That's a word. Fascinating is a word.
Yeah. So, but when asked, he says that he doesn't really like to talk about it. He does not push that claim. Although he could. He could cause a ruckus if he wanted. All right, so let's talk about this story. I loved it. It's not my favorite thing that we've read, but I would say top 2.
I hated it.
Really?
Did not like it at all. I don't like Neil Gaiman.
Okay, fair.
Love his ideas. Have never been able to get behind his prose at all. Everything seems far too scattered and vague. There's not anywhere, and I don't mean descriptively. I mean there's just, it leaves everything hanging. There's no context. It just is, and I can't. I've got nothing. It doesn't give me anything.
What did you see about that in this story? Because I think it
didn't. I didn't understand any. I didn't know we were in Scotland. I didn't know this was a real place. I didn't know this was a real time. I didn't know nothing.
What? Okay. I think you would greatly have benefited from a reread if you had read it twice, because when you read it the first time, that first paragraph doesn't really make any sense. Once you've read it all the way through, and you see when you go back and reread that first paragraph, it's oh my god!
I caught that.
Then also it's there's constant references to lowlands and Highland clans. It's blatantly obvious as Scotland.
It says stuff about the lowlands, but how do I know this isn't a fictional place that has lowlands? I don't know anything about this history. I don't know any of this stuff.
You are generally aware that there is a place called Scotland and that they have clans with names very similar to this.
At no point
and
did
they use Scottish slang. Yes, they do. Callum McInnes.
I mean, McInnes, I guess, but
yeah, and talking about being a Highland Reaver. It actually says Highland. I'm almost positive it says Highland in there.
It just says Reaver, and I don't know what that is.
They use Scottish slang, talking about burn.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, all right.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so that's not really his fault though, because it's blatant. It's it's fucking Scotland, dude. It's blatantly Scotland.
If you know anything about Scotland, I've been to Scotland. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Like, I don't know, dude. Like, it. Okay, let's move past that because I think any other person who read this would pick up that it's Scotland. Especially if you know anything about Neil Gaiman, he's Scottish.
Yeah, but then it starts talking about, okay, the main dude's a midget. I'm like, is that okay? So, is this magic? If it's magic, is this supposed to be the real world? Because if it's not, then this could be a fictional world that has lowlands and shit like that. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's that. I don't know. And then he's faster than a human. And I'm like, wait, what? And then it never specifically says, hey, he's the son of a fairy.
Yeah, it does.
He says he's not. He knows who he. The guy that he's talking to says, "I know what you are."
No, he talks about. He specifically in the story talks about how his dad, like that, his mother was human, and that his dad was not. That his dad came from the West. That's how he got that. That's how he got his powers. Like that's how he can run faster than a normal man.
From the West means
like, I think you didn't read it closely enough.
How am I supposed to know from the West means he's a fairy?
Because of the context of everything else in that. It does not blatantly say, I am a fairy. But everything in that paragraph and surrounding that paragraph, it's blatantly obvious that he's got powers from his supernatural father.
Oh, but no. It's no. He has powers from his supernatural father. Doesn't say his fucking father's a fairy, Bob. And just because it says he's from the West,
it says he's from the West. And the creepy fairy thing that he encounters in the cave, it specifically references that she is too weak to return to the West with her people.
Okay, from the West. That doesn't mean he's a fairy. I don't know that.
Context. Bob,
no, that means it's a supernatural creature.
I don't know anything specifically about Scottish cultural norms that say that fairies lived in the West. There's nothing that I'm aware of about Scottish anything that's fairies live in the West. I don't know anything about that. Mm-hmm. I do know context clues, and it's spelled out over and over again that he has abilities that he got
from his father. But I don't know what his father is. It never says what his father is.
Some supernatural something.
That's fine, but don't say it's a fairy. I don't know it's a fairy. And neither do you, apparently. I thought you were saying that there's some connection I don't understand.
He's a supernatural creature.
Okay, fair, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I was like, I don't understand. I know that there's some connection to a supernatural creature, but I don't know what supernatural creature. And then
does it matter if you know specifically?
Because if it had been a fairy, I'd have been like, oh, then this probably is Scotland or Ireland or someplace like that.
It reads contextually like a fairy. It does. Living under the ground in the hills, glamours. I don't know specifically what Neil Gaiman had in his mind, what the specific name for this fairy-like creature is, but it has all the attributes of fairy-like creatures from Gaelic mythology.
Yeah, this is trash.
I think you just needed to do it. I think you needed to do a reread.
I'll do a reread, and I'll come back and tell you it's still trash. I read it.
Everything that you're complaining about, you're complaining that you don't have the context. And I'm telling you the context, and I think you just didn't pick up on it.
No, I disagree because I read it slow. I read everything very deep.
Then that's why I don't understand how you didn't pick up on this stuff.
You keep saying these things, Bob. I picked up on all of these things. But the context does not lead to this. The context, given the information that was in the thing and that a natural, normal person would have, does not lead to these exact assumptions that you got to somehow. So either you know something that I don't, led to places that I couldn't get to.
You got the general context though.
Yes.
Does the nature of the story actually functionally change if it was in Scotland or if it was not in Scotland?
For me it would have.
Why?
Because then I would have known where to place it in history in my head. So that I would have been able to...
If it's not actually Scotland. I mean, it's a Scotland that has magic,
but also,
so obviously it's not historical.
So.
Now, if you don't like the story, I get it, but I think your complaints about the context, I'm going to argue on your... if you want to argue that the story is trash, fine. I will, I loved it, but I think contextually, I think if you reread it, you will it will sink in so much better for you.
No, like, you keep saying that, but Bob, I got all the context. I understand that he's a mystical creature.
When we started talking about this, you said you didn't like it because you didn't have the context.
Now
you're saying you had the context.
Specific context. Context, like, it's giving me enough information to be like, oh, he has powers. I get that. But what I'm saying is...
How does it change the story if you know that it's... How does it change the story if you know that he got his powers from a supernatural creature as opposed to this specific type of supernatural creature?
I did not like it because he did not give me that information. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't... It affects it in the way that...
So this guy doesn't know. How is he supposed to tell you?
This guy doesn't know that he has magical powers?
He tells you that. But he doesn't know who his dad is. He never saw his dad, obviously. He can't tell you what his dad was. He just knows that his dad...
Well, it seems like he kind of has information that he's not giving us because he's a fairly unreliable narrator.
Okay.
So, like, how do I know he doesn't know that? And even if he doesn't, he's from a time where this context would make more sense to him than it would to me as a reader. So he would probably be able to put these things together easier than I could.
All right. How does if there was a sentence that said, "My dad was a banshee," how does that change the story?
It makes me like it more.
Okay.
I mean, that's it. That's what I'm saying. I don't like Neil Gaiman because he gives you because of the way he writes.
It's a short story, D.
He doesn't write novels differently. It's the same shit.
I think I've read more of it. Like, what other than American Gods of his have you read, novel-wise?
I think I read Anansi Boys, but I can't remember.
Like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of his, but it's more about the execution of the idea in that I would just do the idea differently. That's my problem with him. My problem is not, like, contextually, I don't get what he's going on here. And, like, how many times have we talked about, like, a little bit of mystery is cool and stuff? Like, if everything is blatantly spelled out, that's not cool.
Yes, but Bob, I'm the one that always says that. This is a completely different thing. This is going about the vagary of mystery in a work much differently than other people do it. And the way he does it, I hate it. I hate it.
Okay.
Especially because I want to like it so much.
Okay.
That's the most frustrating part.
I think you have a chip on your shoulder about Neil Gaiman. I think going into this...
I'm not the one that has a chip on my shoulder about Neil Gaiman. You're the one that says American Gods is terrible. I like American Gods.
No. Well, no. American Gods is not terrible. I just don't like it. Because it's the idea of God, like these Norse gods brought back to life, and I would have told a different... Like, with that... I would have told a completely different story than the story he chose to tell. Like, the story's fine. It's just, I'm let down by, well, damn, this is such a cool thing. I would much rather have gotten a completely different story than what we got. Like, I just don't like the story he chose to tell, not how he told it. Like, that's my problem with American Gods.
I don't like how he told it either.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. Like, again, I read it. At no point was like, well, this is fucking written like trash. Like,
I feel like we've had this conversation where you're like, yeah, I don't like this. But it wasn't
because I don't like the story.
Yeah.
But not because it's written poorly. It's just, I just don't like that story. Like, I don't... You're bringing like, Norse gods back to life, and they're fighting TV and the media. It's like... okay, fine, I guess. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I just... that's not what I want to read. So... Context aside, what problems do you have with the story?
I just thought it was boring. I mean, they climb up a mountain, they meet some random people, and then that's it. I mean, he kills them. Like, I understand why he killed him, and I understand. And it's also, I saw I saw it coming the whole time. So I was like, oh, well, he's just going to kill him when they get to the top anyway. So, I mean, it wasn't for me.
But you don't know why.
From that first paragraph, it's pretty obvious. I mean...
Oh, I didn't pick up the random guy that he picks up killed his daughter.
Oh, yeah. Totally picked that up.
I did not get.
I had that as soon as he, before I was done with the first page, I knew that's what happened. But I didn't understand, I didn't, know he, tied her hair. I didn't know the specifics, but I knew in some way, shape, or form he killed her. And I knew that he was going to kill this guy somehow by just leaving him somewhere. So I was like, well... And I mean, it was fine. The only thing, here's what it was. Maybe this is what it was.
since I knew what the story was going to be from that very first part, the only thing I was interested in after that was who the fuck this guy was. And I didn't understand the context, so I couldn't figure it out. So I'm just, the entire time I'm reading it going, when are we going to get to the part where I figure out, like, what's happening? Because I was like, is what he is somehow contextual to what's going to happen next? Like, does his parentage have something to do with him going to this cave? Like, does his parentage have something to do with why this guy chose to kill him? Or is like that was the only thing I was thinking of the whole time, because I already knew he was going to kill him when he got to where he was going. So I was just like, I already know where we're going. What am I getting now? I don't. So that was the only thing left for me, and I didn't get it. That was pretty. That's what it was.
Okay.
Because again, I just read the very beginning, and I was like, okay, yeah. So that he went and found the guy that is responsible for his daughter's death, and then I was like, there's a couple other things that just. Why did like, I understand that they needed shelter and stuff like that, but like, was there some point to him seeing the girl and her husband?
Well, that's the first hint that you get that he's more than just a man. That's the whole point of that scene, is to show that he has this supernatural sense that bad's about to happen, I need to get out. And like, sure, if it was just a story where there was no other hint of the supernatural, you'd be like, oh, that was just a gut feeling, it's whatever. But as you go on and you uncover that he has supernatural heritage, that's the point of that.
First time when he told the kid that he, when the people came to kill him, when the Campbells came to kill him, and his wife sent him off into the fields. He kind of referenced like that he was a dangerous man, even though he was a real tiny person.
Well,
so
yeah, but that
okay, well,
but dangerous is not equate to supernatural. There's lots of dangerous people that aren't supernatural. Like,
yeah, but
that to me, that's kind of a like quintessential kind of Highland tricksy tale there. So
well, I don't know anything about the Highlands.
But even then, okay, let's say that was like the first hint. Again, that scene
was just to show that there's something more to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean. Well, see, here's another thing that I don't like. If you're going to show us all these things that show that he's not natural, then don't tell us that he's not natural. And if you're going to tell us that he's supernatural, then we don't need to see all these instances of him being. You see what I'm saying?
Well, if there had not been any more mention of the supernatural at all, that scene you would not have divined that, oh, he is. Because at its core, this is a story about a supernatural occurrence. At its core, like, you can't.
Well, I would assume they're going to like a magic cave.
But it's like it's a gradual build. Like it's there. The story starts out very not supernatural. Like, sure, they're going for this place, but historically, like, when there wasn't magic, there were still people talking about like, oh, this island's there and it's not there, and like, if they had not actually gone to a magical cave, everything could have been explained away. It could have been just, oh, well, that was his gut. Oh, he has really good endurance. He just ran faster than McInnes could walk. And so
McInnes was running, though.
He was walking very fast. He has longer legs and was walking fast. He wasn't running. He was walking really fast, and he purposely slowed up, but like didn't try and keep up to let McInnes get out of sight. And
thought it said
it's also like along the way, he's trying to show like every step of the way that he is an honorable person. Like, he could have scammed what's his name out of the fair, but he doesn't. He gave McInnes a chance to, hey, do the right thing here. Like, I have short legs, and you're dipping out on me, and instead he just like shows him the error of his ways without being like to me, it's like he does things along the way to be honorable.
That was the thing I didn't really think about until right now, but that doesn't make any sense. Why did he try and leave him behind if he was just going to rob and kill him? He needed him to go into the cave to get the gold. Why would he try and abandon him?
Because he knows that they're going. It's not that he was not trying to leave him behind. Like, oh, I'm never going to see you again. Because there's no point to that. He's just being a dick guide. If you're following me in car to car, and I go 80 while you're going 60, and I leave you in the dust, that's just a dick thing to do. I still want you to follow me, but it's a dick thing to do. Like, he's just being a dick. Because this guy's kind of a dick.
Yeah. I don't like the story.
Sure. Fair. You're wrong, but fair.
No, I'm right.
Anything else you want to add?
Let's see. What else was there in the story? I didn't understand. Maybe, I guess that could be it. Like, I understand. How could you not, like, tear or bite off your hair? Like, because she was tied to the thing and no one ever found her. That's why she died. She starved up there.
Yeah.
I just don't like. I guess could you not?
Oh, I don't. That I don't know.
See, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I mean, if I'm stuck there, bet your ass, I will pull my hair out of my head.
You can also. She also could have
got killed by an animal or something. That's
that, or she could have snapped her neck trying to get loose.
Yeah.
We had a dog do that one time, and like trying to get through a fence, and it like jumped up and like caught its collar, trying to jump over the fence, and caught the collar, and when it fell, it broke its neck. She could have somehow broke her neck. She could also, crucifixion, it kills you by suffocation. Like, once her legs gave out, it could have suffocated her,
Yeah.
I mean, there's...
Because it didn't make it sound like there's any... It could be just wrong, but it felt like... Because it didn't... I don't remember it mentioning if there was, like, gnawed bones or anything like that. I know it was bare, so I know something had to strip the meat away.
Yeah.
But I just didn't understand why she didn't... I guess maybe she did, maybe...
Oh, I'm sure she tried, but I don't know. Just didn't happen. And like hawthorn bushes are thorny. Her hair got all kinds of tangled in. I don't know.
It's just one of those things, like, man, if you're going to die, might as well fucking...
I can't remember, did he tie her hands?
I don't think so. I think pretty much all it said was that he tied her hair to the bushes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Then that was... yeah, okay. Yes.
Anything else?
I expect more from you, Neil Gaiman.
My favorite line was from out of the shadows it came, and it stared down at me with empty sockets, smiled at me with wind-weathered ivory teeth. It was all bone, save hair, and its hair was red and gold and wrapped about the branch of a thorn bush. I thought that was a really neat image.
Yeah, that was my favorite too.
All right. Well, next week we are tackling Signs and Symbols by Vladimir Nabokov. As always, you can email us at booksbeardsbooze@gmail.com, or basically just go to TalesbyBob anything, and you'll find our stuff.
Smoke signals,
anything. Yeah.
Messenger pigeon.
My pigeon roost is down for repairs right now. But other than passenger pigeon, you're good to go. Anyway, I challenge you as your week goes on to go forth and grow a great beard.